So Dominick, what would you say the source of our emotions are? Where does that come from?
We know conventionally, we've all been taught you think a certain way, so your emotions are a certain way. But my experience has been that people can do the mind work, they can do the affirmations, they can do the visualizations, and while that stuff might help to a degree, most people are frustrated. They're like, hey, I've been doing affirmations and visualizations for 6 months, 9 months, or a year. I'm still fat and I'm still poor and I'm still single. What's going on? Either there's something wrong with me, or am I missing something? And let me tell you, emotion does not come from the mind. Emotion comes from your body. Your body is the source of all emotion. And in network care, we literally have it mapped out so that each region of your body we know is the generator of each emotion. So when I look at someone's x-ray, let's say, when we do a body scan on someone and it shows where the tensions are, I've had people that went to a workshop that I did where I talked about how each area of the body is associated with different emotion and how you can feel what's soft and flexible, loose and relaxed, so that part of the body dissipates energy and tension. They're not hijacked by that area of emotion. They could access it, but they're not hijacked. And then what area of their body is not soft and flexible, but instead rock hard? Well, I know that they're hijacked by that emotion because they don't have the connection. It's not available. They can't manage it. Well, if you can't manage it, then that means it's either too little or too much, right? And I had a gentleman come in, great big stocky guy, and he says, I'm not going to tell you anything, Dr. D. I want you to check me out and tell me what you found. Well, I felt his spine, his back, top to bottom, and I said, you have a fear pattern, you probably have anxiety, you probably have some panic attacks. Theme there. I went a little bit lower. I said there's an area here that's associated with either guilt or shame, or it comes out as rage. And then I went a little further down and I said this area is associated with heart palpitations, heart issues. Do you have some of that? And then I went further down the spine and this area is associated with taking things personally, maybe even a little bit of victim, where you take things a little more of the heart on how they were intended. So after I finished, he just sat there with his arms crossed and he said, let me tell you, he said, I have had fears and phobias my whole life. He says, I have panic attacks and anxiety. He says, I have rage issues. He said, I had open heart surgery a month ago because of my heart issues. He went, everything down the line was perfect. And he was just like, all right, I'm sold. He says, what, I'm in. He says, that's impressive. He says, because the stuff that you picked out, you can't make that stuff up. And it was spot on, accurate for what was going on with the person.
Is it from the top of your spine to the tailbone, or is
top
it just
to bottom?
A certain area?
Yeah, top to bottom, each vertebra has its own theme. It's almost, Jen, it's almost like if you were to take a radio and turn the dial and it tunes into a different frequency, right? Because you're changing the structure of the radio and you're tuning into a different frequency, so you're playing different music. So when you turn the dial to K92 country music, they didn't just start playing country music when you tuned into it. The country music was always there. You just tuned into that frequency of information. When you turn the dial, now they're playing classical information. Did they just start when you tuned into it, or was that information there all along? You just changed the structure of the radio, so now it's tuning into that frequency of information. Mm-hmm. The same as our structure. Our body is a big transmitter. We're literally receiving or tuning into information, seeing it a certain way, and it makes sense. If you see it a certain way, your behavior is going to be a certain way.
Do you see patterns or trends in new clients that come in?
I can tell you a theme that everybody comes in with is fear. It seems like everybody in the American culture, the baseline is fear. I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not going to have enough money. I'm not successful enough. I'm not lovable. My life is going to have no meaning. I'm a worthless piece of garbage. That's the theme. Everybody comes in with that underlying fear, 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 fear. So actually the first thing I do for most people, almost all of them, is I work with the fear pattern first. And it kind of makes sense, Jen, because people use anger as a means of controlling their environment when they don't feel safe. People go into anxiety. They go into panic attacks. You have to be in fear before you can have a panic attack. You have to be in fear physiology before you can have nervousness, before you can have anxiety. So a big part of what the gift is with network care is we know how to read the physiology of the person's body. What are you hijacked by physically? And I know what they're hijacked by emotionally. And by getting them reconnected to that area and restoring proper function and flexibility to that area, people are amazed on how to I just don't feel fearful anymore. I don't have all these worries. I don't have these concerns. I'm not afraid of confrontation. It's like before I was always rehearsing anytime I'd meet somebody, all these horrible things that could possibly happen. He says, now I don't have that. I just show up and it just goes how it goes, and whatever it is, I'll handle it. Totally different experience to, I'm concerned. How's this going to pan out? Anxiety, panic attack, rage, anger, all the different things that people feel, all the different emotions that people feel, they feel because we have that capacity, we have that gear in the car, first, second, third, fourth, reverse. There's nothing wrong with first gear if you're trying to get out the parking lot, right? But if you're trying to get on the interstate, first gear is not going to do too well. So it's about having availability to these emotions, getting in and getting out. And that's what network care and the body connection that we do in our office increases your capacity, increases your ability to manage your own emotions.